Welcome, everyone. Let's just take a deep breath and settle in for a bit.
Yeah, it's so good to be here with you.
Managing body weight, metabolic health, it's an incredibly personal journey. For you, the listener, we know this can be a really sensitive topic.
Absolutely. It's rarely just about the clinical data, is it?
No, not at all. It's about your quality of life. So today, we're taking our time. We are going to do a really thorough exploration of a brand new development that might actually give people more choices.
Right. And having choices is, well, it's everything in chronic care.
Exactly. So we're looking closely at a daily weight loss pill that was just approved in the UK. It's called Foundayo.
Made by Eli Lilly, right? The same company behind the Mounjaro injection.
Yeah, that's the one. And what we want to understand today is what this transition, moving from a syringe to a simple tablet, what that actually means for the future of treating obesity and type 2 diabetes.
It's a huge shift. I mean, to really appreciate the scale of this, we should probably start with the regulatory side. Foundayo just received approval from the Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency.
The MHRA?
Yes, the MHRA in the UK.
Yeah.
And that actually makes the UK the very first country in Europe to approve this specific medication.
Oh, wow. First in Europe.
Yeah. The active ingredient is called orforglipron. But honestly, to grasp why a simple tablet is causing such a massive stir in the medical community, we have to look at the biology.
Right, how it actually works inside the body.
Exactly. It targets what's known as the GLP-1 pathway.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second. Because, GLP-1 pathway is a phrase that gets thrown around a lot in the news lately.
Oh, constantly.
Yeah, and it often sounds like some sort of magic spell. So I want to really slow down here and break down what that actually means.
Sure. So it's essentially your gut-brain axis in action. GLP-1 is just a hormone. Your digestive system naturally produces it when you eat.
Okay, so food goes in and the hormone comes out.
Right. As food enters your gut, those cells release GLP-1. It travels through your bloodstream and basically talks to the receptors in your brain.
Like a messaging system.
Exactly like that. It's your body's built-in way of telling your brain, hey, we have food, we're getting full, you can stop feeling hungry now.
Got it.
And at the exact same time, it does something physical. It slows down gastric emptying.
Meaning it literally just keeps the food sitting in your stomach for a longer period of time.
Yes. The actual physical digestion process is decelerated. So you feel physically fuller for longer, right?
Right.
And your brain is simultaneously getting those chemical signals saying you're satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue for a lot of people struggling with obesity is that this natural system, it's dysregulated.
The signals get crossed.
Yeah. The brain might not be receiving that full signal properly.
Yeah.
Or the natural GLP-1 hormone just clears out of the bloodstream way too fast.
So they're physically hungry again almost immediately.
Exactly. So what a medication like Foundayo does is it introduces a synthetic version of this signal, one that actually sticks around and keeps that pathway activated.
I often think about this whole process like a volume dial on hunger.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, like for someone who doesn't struggle with their weight, that dial naturally goes up when they need energy, and then it just turns down after a meal.
Right, a normal fluctuation.
But for a lot of people dealing with metabolic issues, it's like the internal signals telling them to eat are just a radio blasting at maximum volume.
24 hours a day.
Exactly. It's this exhausting, constant food noise. You're just always thinking about your next meal.
Yeah, and the biology totally backs up that feeling of relief when the noise stops.
Because this medication reaches in and physically turns that volume dial way down.
Right. When you stabilize that GLP-1 signaling, you're essentially removing that constant, overwhelming physiological drive to consume calories.
So the patient gets some quiet in their own mind.
Yes. They can finally make choices about food without, fighting this biological megaphone. It's not burning fat like a furnace. It's just fixing the communication.
But the GLP-1 mechanism itself isn't exactly new, right? We've had the famous injections doing this for a few years now.
We have, yeah. What makes Foundayo unique is entirely about the delivery mechanism.
Right, the fact that it's a tablet. Because up until now, treating this biologically meant dealing with needles.
Yes. Keeping pre-filled syringe pens in your refrigerator and, injecting yourself in the stomach or the thigh every single week.
Let's just pause and think about the psychological weight of that kind of routine.
It's massive. Injections, it doesn't really matter how tiny the needle is or how sleek the pen looks. They inherently feel clinical.
It's a constant reminder that you have a disease.
Exactly. It reminds you that you are a patient. Transitioning from that to a familiar tablet, it just normalizes the whole thing.
Yeah, an injection is an event. You have to prep the site, do the pinch, deal with biohazard bins.
Right, but taking a pill with your morning coffee, that's a completely different psychological experience. It folds seamlessly into everyday life.
We're already used to taking vitamins or allergy pills.
Exactly. It removes this massive layer of medical friction from the daily routine.
But surely there has to be a trade-off here. I mean, if we are moving from a heavy-duty injection to a convenient little pill, we can't just change the delivery system without some shift in how well it works.
It's a very fair point.
So is a daily tablet actually as effective as the weekly injections?
Well, the clinical data reveals a bit of nuance here. Dr. Simon Quirk from Anglia Ruskin University, he reviewed the outcomes.
Okay.
And he noted that the overall weight loss benefits of Foundayo are technically less than what patients see with the most powerful injectable treatments out there.
Ah, okay. So the absolute peak number on the scale isn't going to drop quite as far with this pill.
Right, the maximum efficacy ceiling is slightly lower. But, and this is a big but, Dr. Quirk emphasized that patients can still expect to see significant clinically meaningful changes to their weight.
So it's still doing serious work.
Oh, absolutely. We aren't talking about trivial results. These are outcomes that genuinely improve metabolic health, lower your blood pressure, and reduce long-term risks.
Okay, but let me just play devil's advocate for a second here.
Go for it.
If I'm a patient committing to a serious medical weight loss journey, knowing the potential side effects and the cost, why would I choose a treatment that is inherently less effective?
Yeah, I hear that.
Wouldn't I want the absolute strongest tool available?
Well, what's fascinating here is that assumes human behavior is perfectly rational, and that medical treatment is just a one-size-fits-all scenario.
Which it rarely is.
Exactly. Efficacy in a clinical trial doesn't mean a thing if a patient simply won't stick with the treatment in the real world. Patient autonomy is huge.
Because some people are just terrified of needles.
Yes. Intense needle phobia is very real. Or think about people who travel constantly for work. Managing the cold storage requirements for those injectable PEMs while flying is a nightmare.
Oh, I didn't even think about the refrigeration aspect.
Right. So for them, a slightly less effective pill that they will actually take every single day, that is vastly superior to a highly effective injection that just sits unused in their fridge.
Because the best medication is the one you actually take.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
And the convenience factor goes beyond just avoiding needles, too. Professor Naveed Sattar from the University of Glasgow, he called this approval good news, precisely because of the flexibility it offers.
Right, because there actually is another pill out there, isn't there? Wegovy has a pill form.
Yes, the Wegovy pill was approved by the MHRA recently as well, but it comes with a highly restrictive protocol.
How so?
Well, it must be taken on a completely empty stomach, usually right when you wake up. And you have to wait a very specific amount of time, often like 30 minutes, before you can eat, drink anything but a tiny sip of water, or even take your other morning medications.
Oh, wow. For someone with a chaotic schedule, that sounds exhausting.
It really is.
If you're a shift worker doing totally irregular hours, or just a parent trying to get kids out the door,
Right.
perfectly timing your pill and your morning coffee just becomes another chore.
Exactly. And Foundayo, this new orforglipron tablet, it eliminates that barrier. It can just sit on your bedside table or in your work bag, and you can take it at literally any time of the day,
Regardless of when you eat.
regardless of your meal schedule. Professor Sattar highlighted that having an effective oral option that is this flexible, it helps so many more people access treatment.
It fits their lifestyle.
Right. And when a medication fits seamlessly into your life,
Yeah.
your adherence over a year just skyrockets.
So even if the peak efficacy on paper is slightly lower, the real-world results could be incredibly strong simply because people aren't experiencing that protocol fatigue.
Exactly. It's about giving healthcare providers a full menu of options.
Speaking of options, here's where it gets really interesting. We've been looking at Foundayo as a starting point, right? Like a primary treatment. But the clinical trials explored a completely different application, one that addresses, I think, the single biggest fear patients have about these GLP-1 drugs.
The fear of the rebound effect.
Yes, the rebound. We know that one of the major risks of coming off the injections is just regaining all the weight you lost.
It's a very common reality.
You stop the jab, the synthetic GLP-1 leaves your system, and that volume dial on your hunger just gets cranked right back up to
The
maximum.
stomach speeds up emptying again, too.
And the weight comes back, often really fast. It leaves people feeling totally defeated, like they're just locked into taking intense injections for the rest of their lives.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to remember that obesity is a chronic condition. It's not an acute infection like strep throat.
You don't just take an antibiotic for a week and you're cured.
Exactly. You don't cure it with a short course and walk away. When you remove the treatment that's actively managing the biological dysregulation, the symptoms, which is the unregulated appetite, they inevitably return.
And the medical community has been really struggling with this, right? How to transition patients safely off these heavy-duty
It's
injections.
been the major dilemma, yeah. But the trials for Foundayo looked at exactly this scenario. They took patients who had already successfully lost weight using the injections.
Okay.
And instead of just taking them off everything and watching the rebound happen, they transitioned those patients onto a daily Foundayo tablet.
And they monitored them for a while?
They closely monitored that group for a full year.
And what happened? Taking that tablet every day allowed them to keep the weight off.
It did. They successfully avoided regaining much of the weight they had lost on the injections.
Wow, that completely changes how we should look at long-term treatment.
It proves we can separate the acute weight loss phase from the long-term maintenance phase.
So we should view this pill as a starter drug and almost more like an insurance policy. It protects all the hard work the patient already put in.
I love that framing. Think of the injections as the heavy machinery required to clear the path, right? They do the heavy lifting to get your metabolic health to a safer baseline.
But you don't want to drive heavy machinery every day for the rest of your life.
Exactly. Foundayo creates a viable, long-term off-ramp strategy. You step down from the intense weekly needle to a simple daily maintenance pill.
It shifts away from this terrifying all-or-nothing cliff edge.
Yes, patients aren't forced to choose between weekly needles forever or inevitably regaining the weight. It's a sustainable maintenance phase that actually feels normal.
That has to be a massive psychological relief. Just knowing that an off-ramp exists makes starting the injections way less daunting.
Oh, absolutely.
But, let's do a reality check here. We really need to ground this exciting advancement in practical reality for you, the listener.
Yes, it's not all just smooth sailing.
Right. We need to talk about what you would actually experience regarding side effects and the logistics of getting this drug, because it's not magic.
No, it is a potent medication that is fundamentally altering your gastrointestinal system.
So let's talk side effects. Foundayo, like any GLP-1 drug, has a documented side effect profile, mostly in the gut, right?
Heavily in the gut. The most commonly reported issues are nausea, diarrhea, constipation, and vomiting.
Which honestly makes complete sense when you remember how it physically works.
Exactly. We talked about how it slows down gastric emptying.
Right.
When you force the stomach to hold on to food much longer than it's used to, the digestive tract needs time to adjust. The nausea often comes directly from that intense feeling of fullness.
And this really highlights why doctors always say you have to pair these drugs with a healthy diet and exercise.
It's non-negotiable.
Because if your stomach is emptying super slowly and you eat a massive, highly processed meal, your body is going to rebel.
It will react very poorly. The pill is a biological tool. It's not a free pass to ignore your lifestyle foundations.
Right. The medication just creates an environment where your diet and exercise can finally be successful rather than fighting your own metabolism.
You still have to put in the effort to fuel your body correctly.
So what does this all mean for actually getting the drug in the UK? Because it's MHRA approved, which means it's safe and effective.
Yes.
So if I have the money, can I just go to a private clinic right now and pay out of pocket?
You can.
Yeah.
But MHRA approval is only the first hurdle. It does not mean it's automatically available on the NHS for weight loss.
Right. I know Eli Lilly said it could be used by the NHS immediately for type 2 diabetes.
Yes, but for weight loss specifically, they have to apply to NICE, the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence.
And NICE is basically looking at the finances, right?
They operate with a completely different mandate. MHRA asks, is it safe? NICE asks, is it cost-effective enough to spend taxpayer money on it for the general population?
And that evaluation takes time.
Considerable time.
But Dr. Cork mentioned something interesting about the economics of this tablet. He said it's likely to be significantly cheaper than the restricted injections we currently have.
Oh, the economics are drastically different. Think about the injections. They're so expensive to manufacture. Complex syringe pens, and crucially, they require a cold chain distribution network.
Right, the refrigeration.
Yes, from the factory to the truck to the pharmacy into the patient's fridge. But a stable daily tablet in a standard bottle. It is infinitely cheaper to produce and ship at scale.
So are we looking at a two-tier system in the short term, where private wealth gets you the convenient pill tomorrow, But NHS patients wait a year in a queue?
It's a very real concern for health equity. We see this pattern frequently. In the immediate future, private access will outpace public provision.
That's frustrating.
It is. However, that lower cost is exactly what NICE cares about.
Mhm.
If this pill can relieve financial pressure on the NHS by replacing expensive cold storage injections, it becomes really attractive.
So the cheapness might actually speed up the NICE approval.
It potentially could, yes.
That's hopeful. But this raises an important question about navigating the private route in the meantime. We see these GLP-1 drugs heavily advertised online now, often through somewhat sketchy telehealth setups.
I am so glad you brought this up. Navigating private prescriptions through loosely regulated online platforms is incredibly perilous.
Because they just give you a quick questionnaire.
Exactly. It is vitally important that anyone considering this medication consults a highly qualified primary healthcare professional, someone who actually knows your full medical background.
You shouldn't be playing around with potent hormones by yourself.
Never. Medical supervision is non-negotiable. A doctor needs to ensure that modulating your GLP-1 pathway is even appropriate for your specific biology.
And they need to monitor those gastrointestinal side effects we talked about.
Right, to make sure you aren't becoming dehydrated or malnourished.
And if we go back to that off-ramp strategy, you really need a doctor to help you transition from the injection to the tablet safely.
Exactly. You can't manage that delicate biological step down on your own without accidentally triggering the rebound. You need a long-term relationship with a professional who is tracking your progress.
Adjusting the levers of your treatment as your body changes.
Exactly that.
Well, let's just sort of pull all these threads together. We have looked really closely today at a major shift in medical science.
The transition from clinical weekly injections to a daily tablet, found IO, with the UK leading the charge in Europe.
Right. We examined how it uses the gut-brain axis to turn down that food noise, and how the flexibility of a pill you can take anytime might drastically improve a person's ability to actually stick with their treatment.
And we explored its really profound potential as a maintenance tool, that off-ramp to prevent rebound weight gain.
And of course, we grounded all of that in the reality of the side effects, the gap between private and NHS access, and why you absolutely must have real medical supervision. We sincerely hope this thorough exploration has been valuable for you. Navigating chronic health conditions is exhausting, and it is entirely valid to want to stay informed about your options.
Because knowledge gives you the leverage to have truly productive, informed conversations with your doctor.
Exactly. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a broader thought to chew on. We mentioned earlier how injections carry a psychological weight. They remind you that you're treating a disease. And for generations, weight management has carried this incredibly cruel societal stigma.
It's been unfairly framed as a moral failing, rather than the complex biological condition we now know it is.
So consider this. If medical science continues on this trajectory, and managing obesity eventually becomes as routine, as invisible as taking a tiny daily pill for high blood pressure with your morning coffee, how might that shift finally force society to drop the moral judgments attached to body weight? If the treatment just becomes completely unremarkable, perhaps the stigma will finally starve to death.
That's a beautiful way to put it. When the intervention just blends seamlessly into everyday life, it strips away the spectacle, leaving only the health of the patient.
It's a profound cultural shift to think about, not just for medicine, but for how we fundamentally view each other.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us today. Please remember to consult with your own qualified healthcare professional about any medical decisions, and subscribe if you want to keep exploring the science behind the health updates that actually matter to you. Take care of yourself.